everybody, and welcome to the Tingling Tea. Here at the Tingling Tea, we talk about the strange and the supernatural, the weird and the wonderful, the creepy and the cryptid, and all that is phenomenally freaky. I am your host, Les Fry, and I'm going to bring in my most wonderful co-host, the one and only Auggie, Eddie, Ominous Peterson.
Hello. I have my Love is Love tea cup here with my lovely tea going on, so I'm ready. I'm ready for another episode.
All right. I have to tell you that I have looked at our intro like over 1,000 times just to see it. I really love that intro.
I love the intro.
Yeah. And I'm trying to see what I can do for the Bitten Apple because I need to create one for the Bitten Apple too. But I think I want to go a different route with it. Maybe do some animation like that. But that's already stock footage animation that we have in our intro. Yeah. I wanted to do something that was something that I created. Wow. So I'm kind of learning how to do that along the way.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
well, you surprised me with that, and I love it. And every time I watch it, I think, "Wow, this is pretty amazing."
I can't believe it myself. I'm very surprised that I even put it together like that. But anyway, how has your week been so far?
Well, you know what? I was on vacation for most of the week, so it was awesome. But let me tell you, my poor puppy had to have the 6-month operation. So that means he cannot procreate, which means that he is a very confused puppy right now.
Listen, it is all necessary. I am unless you're deciding that you are going to breed your animals, I am very for spaying and neutering your pets. One thing about domesticated animals, they're no longer in the wild. So to be in a position where they can't procreate is a very difficult position for them to be in. So the best thing to do is to spay and neuter them. They stay healthier longer. They don't get any diseases. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. I know there's a lot of people that don't think that, that's the best option for their pets, but y'all, let's face it, it is.
I was under the impression that people just had it done regularly, and in just the 4 months that I've had a puppy, I've run into so many people who just don't want to get their dogs spayed or neutered, and I don't understand why. Are you going to show the dog? What is the purpose of that if you're not purposely going to either be a breeder or there has to be some requirement to be a show dog or something like that, to be anatomically all there? I don't understand the motives. I did talk to some people about being scared. This is for males, being scared that they wouldn't get all of the characteristics of being a male. And I'm like, I don't think that's right.
That's not true. That's not true.
Unless, you want to just be, aggressive. Unless you want an aggressive dog, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. If you want your dog to be aggressive because they're not allowed to be out there to mate and procreate, then that's what you're going to do. But that means also that you're going to have to watch that dog when you go to dog parks, or when you're walking the dog, or when he's trying to defend you and he's chasing after somebody else. Nothing changes about the sexuality of the dog, except that they're missing those things that cause them to procreate. They still have their little things all attached. It's just that those things are missing. But I'm all for it. We used to have a dog that was not spayed or neutered, and he died from prostate cancer because he was not spayed. I mean, he was not neutered. So these are things that it increases the longevity of your pet. Your pet doesn't know. That's you're basically you're implanting or what's the word I want to say? Impressing upon an animal your human beliefs. And the thing is that that doesn't happen with animals. They don't know any different. You're keeping them healthier by doing that, unless you are planning on being
a breeder,
breeding your dog. That is the best option to do. These animals were mainly in the wild. They were not bred to be domesticated animals. But when you have them as a domesticated animal, they must be spayed or neutered because you're not allowing them to be in the wild where they can create. And that's more painful for them not to be able to procreate than the other option of giving them, spaying or neutering them. It's just much healthier.
For me, it's completely selfish because I don't want the dog just to be marking all the time, especially inside the house. So I want to make sure that we cut off as much as possible to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's a lot of things that happen if you do not spay and neuter your pet. And
that's not a guarantee.
And please don't say that you don't have the money. There are plenty of options out there that are affordable for people who do not have money. I used to have a cat. I did not have money to get her spayed, but I found a program that did it for me. And I think I only spent like $25 to get her spayed.
Yeah, I went to the ASPCA for my cats many years ago, and it was very affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really affordable.
Yeah, and if you cannot afford the care of your animal, don't have an animal. That's just it. They are part of the family. They are, I was just saying to Auggie before we began, and you'll probably start seeing some advertisement about this little program that I just set up, which is a trap, neuter, and release program called the Backyardigans. That is, I have a group of cats, a colony of cats that come to my backyard. And somebody abandoned one of the cats, and you can definitely tell that the cat is abandoned. He approaches me. He's not feral whatsoever, but he's so heartbroken, and you can see it in the face of this cat because the community has already established its hierarchy. A feral community has already established its hierarchy. Now they have this domesticated, abandoned cat now trying to make it in, and he's in the lower rung of things, and he has to fight for everything. And it's sad because I could see that this cat is actually grieving. And the thing is that I've had so many animals, I know a grieving pet when I see one. That cat is missing his people.
So sad. That reminds me of a video I saw recently where it was caught on tape that a husky was let go on the side of the road, and he was literally taken out by a son, put on the side of the road, and then the father was in the van and they drove away. And it turned out that this happened in Texas, I believe, and the people were caught that abandoned the dog, and they were, you get, sentences for that. Mm-hmm. So they had done that, but it ends in a good story because this video had gone viral. So many people wanted the dog, and the dog was, being held for adoption, that he was adopted right away. But just the idea of bringing a dog into your life and then abandoning it is just shocking to me, especially when you can there are other more reasonable options for you out there to ensure the life of that dog or cat.
And that's the other thing. These animals were raised domestically. You nurtured that animal. You were its provider as far as feeding it, taking care of it. So when you put it out into the world, it's not familiar with the world. It gets hit by cars. It gets poisoned by people, and it gets into dog fights, maybe even impregnated and even dying. It's these animals depended on you. It's literally like you putting a child out in the street, and I can't stress it enough. People, take care of your animals, love them. Don't give them up. Don't release them out in the wild. These animals loved you. They were raised around you. That you are all they know. You are responsible for them. So anyway, let's get off the soapbox because I could go on and on about that.
Right.
But I will maybe on the Tingling Tea do like a little thing on the Backyardigans about how they're doing.
Please do.
Yeah.
You have an Instagram, right, for them?
I do have an Instagram and a TikTok for the Backyardigans, so you can follow my journey in trying to trap, neuter, and release these feral cats in my backyard. Yeah, I'm so unprepared for this. I'm so unprepared. But thankfully, I've already gotten my first donation, which is someone from our job actually donated a trap for me. And I went and got gloves. So, and I'm being assisted by the Humane Society here in New Jersey. They're going to help me find somebody to help me trap neuter them and then release them back into the community. They have little houses and everything. Yep, I've already set up like the little community in the back. They're little sweethearts, but
I'm sure your husband is thrilled.
Yeah, he is. Yep, he is very thrilled. I was like, listen, I promise they're not coming in the house. They're just staying in the backyard, but they're ours now. They don't leave our backyard. So, yeah, because they know there's food there. So anyway, let's just go a little bit further about what's going on. So here is the very interesting thing. As you all know, we love Dead by Daylight. We play that game ad nauseum. We all know that. Dead by Daylight, our favorite game, has now introduced a Hellraiser portion.
That's right.
Yes.
Although they don't refer to it as Hellraiser, they refer to it as the Centibite.
The Centibite, right.
Yeah.
Or the Cenobite.
Cenobite, yes.
Mm-hmm. So that's what they were called in the movie Hellraiser, of course. But we do have Pinhead, and then we do have the chattering Cenobite.
Which is just freaking scary. The Pinhead is just looks like a DIY project gone wrong. But the Chatterer is scary because he makes a sound with his jaws and he just goes like that. It's horrifying.
Pinhead and Chatter. So if you are fans of that film, and we know that it's an iconic series of films that were horrific when it came on the scenes in the 80s, to be chased by these individuals in Dead by Daylight is terrifying.
I have a little bit about sort of what their story is.
Go ahead, tell us.
Pinhead is an explorer of the further regions of experience, indulging in the limitless thrill of pleasure and pain. When the puzzle box known as the Lament configuration, a key to another dimension, was found in the entity's realm, it was only a matter of time before it all fell into curious hands. Once opened, he arrived. What came next was sweet suffering that spilled over the realm. An extra-dimensional gateway that leads to pleasure and pain so great it will tear your soul apart.
I will tear your soul apart. I can hear him saying that right now.
You open the box.
Yeah, you open the box. You called me. I love this film very much, but I even more so love playing it. The perks that you get with the Cenobite, both the Chatterer and Pinhead, are Hellbound, which you become obsessed with the survivor. Chasing the obsession for 50 to 40 to 30 times seconds activates Hellbound. And once Hellbound is activated, the next generator you kick will be blocked by the entity for 26 seconds, and Hellbound's timer resets once the ability has been used. And then there's Lament, where you can destroy pallets with breakable walls while carrying a survivor. Every pallet or wall that you break while carrying a survivor reduces survivor's struggle progress by 10, 15, and 20%. Nice. And that's hard enough because you have to get away, And I will tell you that he does not use his hands in this. He uses the hook chains. So that's what comes and grabs you, the famous hook chains that we know about. And then there's the Hex Leviathan, which it activates when the last generator is completed, and the progress from the exit gate switches automatically starts regressing whenever they are not being used. If survivors interact with the exit gate switch, they will be affected by the oblivious state effect by 20 to 25 to 30 seconds. So we all know that once you hit the gate actually stays within that progression range. Well, now with this particular perk that the Cenobite has, the gate goes back to square one. Mm-hmm. And so you can't you have to go start from square one as far as the progress as opening it.
You also can't hear the in this case the Cenobite coming towards you like you can in with many other of the killers.
Right. The other thing, too, that's very annoying about this particular cure is that portals open up while you are doing things, healing somebody or fixing a generator that actually chain you. And you have to break from the chains in order to get away.
So it really does mess up your
progress.
Your progress really messes with you.
Yep, it really does. But the one thing that it does have, and we are the one thing that if you know anything about this particular movie, is the ripping of the flesh. It does happen, you all, as a final kill. The chains come, and your flesh is ripped apart, and all that is left is a skeleton.
And your cheeks are like this.
Yeah. Exactly. So it does actually, happen in this. Very, very scary, I would have to say. Very, very scary.
I think it's cool.
I do too. And you do get to use the box in there. It's similar to skill checks that you would have on a generator or when you're doing anything. I'm not quite sure what the box does. Are you aware of what the box does? Because I've never picked it up. I've never had time to pick it up while we've been in the game.
Oh, yeah. So this is the lament configuration that we were talking about before. Mm-hmm. And so every I don't know, couple of minutes or so, a box appears. And if no one opens the box and solves the box, it's like a puzzle. If no one does that, then those chains will get worse and worse and worse. And so you will not, as a survivor, you will be going and doing whatever it is you're trying to do, and you'll be stopped by all these chains that are coming for you until you solve the puzzle. And then by that time, if you try to solve the puzzle after the chains start, then you're in the middle of solving the puzzle and the chains are pulling you away from solving the puzzle.
Oh, Lord.
So it's that much of a pain. So
Mia says you solve the puzzle to keep the chains away.
Solve the puzzle as fast as possible. Mia is right, because then you don't have to deal with the chains.
Okay.
But what it does is it exposes you to the killer, and the killer can transport to you. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do know about that now. So it's a great game, you all. We totally love Dead by Daylight. We've decided not to actually show any of our gaming for a while. We might keep that until every once in a while we'll show that. But maybe we will show you us playing, the Hellraiser version of it when it does happen. So Mia says if you see the box turn yellow, then that's when you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this is it. So this is, we all know that this is Hispanic Heritage Month, and we know this is going on until October the 15th. We have some horror films that we wanted to highlight that I have personally liked these films. Now, it's funny because today when I was doing research on these films, I came across an article that said 13 Latino films that are the worst films you shouldn't watch. And two of them should not watch, and two of them are on my list.
Oh.
They said the worst ones ever made.
No.
The worst ones ever made. Yes.
No.
Two of them are on my list.
Sometimes they're so bad they're good.
Well, and that's exactly what I wanted to say. Something, I like films. It doesn't have to horror for me. It has to have like the little moments that are like creepy to me that make my skin crawl. And to me, that's what, despite the bad special effects or the bad acting, if I can find those moments in a film, it's a good film to me, and it's enjoyable. So let's talk about our first films that we're going to talk about for Hispanic horror films. The first film that I wanted to talk about is called The Baby's Room, or La Habitación del Niño, or Del Bebe, as you could say that.
Del Baby,
Del Baby. So that film, I saw it some years back, and I absolutely loved this film.
I love the posters, by the way. I think it's a great poster. The one on the left I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a very good film, but this was on one of the films that was on the list as worst Latino horror films. I don't understand why it was. I really love this film. They gave it a bad review because of the acting. I don't know. I thought the storyline was very good. I thought it was creepy. It had a serious creep factor to me. And so I love this film. So can you give us a little bit of a background on this particular film?
Sure. So this was actually a TV movie.
Okay.
Originally, it was originally produced to be a TV movie. It was done in 2006.
Right.
And the summary is really a couple who, with a recent born child, arrive at their new home. is a wonderful old house that has been completely renovated and the ideal place to start life as a family. The couple go to bed after a tiring day. Before going to bed, the couple go and check the child monitor that has been installed in the baby's bedroom. They will soon discover that there is someone else living in this house, someone whose presence can be felt every night right beside the baby's cradle. So in 2006, this was a brand new, the idea of having a video monitor in a baby's room was fairly new. And so they play with the idea of having a video monitor and an audio, before then it was just audio, but video and audio with a bit of, it has the feeling of a found footage situation. It also has sort of the haunted house effect. So there's a lot of different elements going on here. I love that. I love the relationship between, the innocence in danger, right? That theme of young children who are so vulnerable, being threatened, because it really, has like this instinct in all of us. We're there to protect that child. And I think this movie plays on that very well.
Yeah.
I actually watched it today, and I thought the acting was just fine. So I don't know what this person's talking about, but especially if you're a young parent or something like that, this is a spooky, spooky movie.
Yes, I thought it was spooky too. I thought it was very spooky. I thought it was terrifying.
Yes. So, I mean, it's really going to, especially if you're a parent or have a lot of these paternal instincts, these protective instincts, this is going to play on all of those things. And I found it really engaging.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you got to watch it today. Yeah, I rank this as one of my favorite Hispanic horror films. So I don't know. I thought it was good. So the next one, this one comes out of the Dominican Republic. I remember when I was a flight attendant and I used to fly, everybody, we talked about horror. Everybody asked me if I had ever seen this movie.
Really?
Yes. So the movie, I finally got to really watch this movie maybe 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So yes, the special effects are outdated. The acting is not that great. But the creep value in this film is unbelievable. And it puts in a lot of the old tropes and archetypes that we all know. It brings in The Ring, it brings in The Exorcist, it brings all of that. But what I found to be very scary about this is that they filmed this on the Dominican countryside, in the rural parts of the Dominican Republic. And this whole story of voodoo and Santeria and all of that all placed in there. And the fact that it was sacrilegious to touch a grave or to be around these kind of scenarios. I absolutely love this film. If you don't want to compare it to what is out there now, I would say that you would think that this film, especially if you are Latino, you will think that this film is very scary. And that film is Andrea. And it's called Andrea, The Revenge of the Spirit, and it says it is inspired by a real story. But it's a Dominican film. Acting is not that great. All probably brand new actors, very low budget, but I still thought that it had some major creep value in it.
It did have a low budget, but I think they got a lot out of the budget that they did have.
Yeah.
It is based on a true story in the DR, in the Dominican Republic. Andrea, a young girl, unleashes a spirit after removing a cross on a sacred holy ground cemetery. Mm-hmm. The past history of the family is the key to the spirit terror on the family and Andrea's family. Witch doctors and spiritual healers battle the spirit in attempts to return to normal life. Now, as you mentioned earlier, this is really deep within the Hispanic culture, the Dominican culture. They talk about Dominican voodoo in this particular in this particular movie, Las Divisiones, which is that sort of also known as the Dominican voodoo, and it really its place in the beginnings and significance in Latin American culture. So if you know of that, if you want to learn about that, this is a really good movie to expose yourself to that sort of side of Latin American culture, specifically Dominican Republic culture, which some people know of and some people don't.
And I think that's why I found it to be scary. Having, traveled there often, I used to call that my second home. I thought this movie was terrifying.
Yeah.
I felt like whatever this entity was, and we're going to call it the devil, that this entity, they didn't have a chance. They were out. They didn't have a chance against this thing. But I thought it was very, 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 very good. And I thought for the young actress, I think that she did a very good job. I haven't seen her in anything else after that. I know that, they do interviews with her to say where she is now or whatever. But I thought that was a really good film. It was very Dominican, in my opinion. And I thought it was terrifying. And if you ask a lot of Dominican people if this is scary, they all have something to say about Andrea.
Well, it really pulls from all of the lores from the Dominican sort of culture.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things that are meant to be scary and that people talk about and children talk about as things that scare them. This really pulls from all of that. So
yeah, it's a very good movie in my opinion. Bad special effects, yes. Maybe some bad acting moments, but yet creep value, I would give it a good 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next film, even though we may not consider this to be Hispanic horror, it's still on the same island. And so we're going to talk about the island of Hispaniola, which is where the Dominican Republic and Haiti both reside. But I had to bring this movie in there because it is part of that island. And if you think about it, it's a part of Latin culture in a sense because they're so intertwined. And that movie is one of my all-time favorite movies, The Serpent and the Rainbow. This movie, even to this day, and it still deals with that whole, the voodoo, the beliefs that are mixing the indigenous with religion. This movie by far is terrifying. If you have never seen this movie, I highly recommend it, but I want you to be prepared, especially if you are somebody who comes from a Caribbean culture or somebody who's of a Black culture. This movie is going to terrify you. We know that this does exist, that voodoo does exist, but we also know creating zombies does exist too. And maybe not to the extent of what we've seen in films like The Walking Dead or whatever, but the fact of the art of creating the elixirs that causes someone to be zombified is all put in this particular film. And this one man's experience of as he goes to Haiti for a pharmaceutical company to try to figure out how this stuff is created.
I think it's a great sort of marriage of people that are steeped in this culture, that grow up in this and understand the fear that you have to have, that is sort of next to this Bill Pullman character, which is sort of the person that has no experience of it, wants to look at this from purely a scientific perspective and doesn't recognize or respect any of the other perspectives, and ends up being caught into that because of that lack of respect.
And that is exactly what happens to him. The realization that science has nothing to do with this spiritualism that goes on in this country, and as far as voodoo and the possession of spirits, and the idol, the gods that they worship. So well done, so well acted. and just creep value beyond none. And also one of my favorites that I often watch during the Halloween month, because it is such a good movie.
Yeah. So it's starring Bill Pullman, which we see. It was also directed by Wes Craven.
Yes.
So
and that even makes it the most exceptional because it's a Wes Craven film.
That's right. So I have some interesting facts. So during political strife, it was actually filmed in Haiti. But due to some political strife and civic turmoil, the Haitian government could not guarantee the safety of the film crew. So they ended up relocating to the DR to complete filming. So this is actually filmed in the DR and Haiti.
Yeah. So this happened during the time of Papa Doc Duvalier. Right. And everybody knows about that. So this is when this all occurred. But go ahead.
Right. So this is actually based on a real investigation of a gentleman named Wade Davis, upon which the character Dennis Allen, the lead character, is based. Actually, the research that he didn't really amount to much. So and he came back and he presented to his peers about the drug tetrodotoxin, and it was already 1985, and people already knew about this. They've actually been using this since the 1700s, and it's used today as an anesthetic. So it was really about this person. The story was inspired by this scientist that went there, investigated, came back, and presented his findings. Didn't really have much of a roar, but that started the seed of this story, which became a book, and then 3 years later became a movie.
So the toxin that they have actually comes from a blowfish.
That's right.
A pufferfish, basically, and that is part of what is used in the ritual and the ceremony of creating this powder that's used to zombify people. I mean, there's a lot more into it, the ritual itself, but the reason why he didn't come back with much is because nobody discloses that information. What they create and how they create it. They're not going to give that to somebody so that they can make money off of it. This stuff has been old, knowledge. So they're not going to give that to somebody to make money off of it.
Yeah, there is a character in this movie called Christopher Narcissi, who is based on a real person. And that real person actually was given this drug called Datura, which caused memory loss, and he was forced to work as a slave on a sugar plantation. Right.
So the character's name in the movie, his name is Christophe. Yes, Christophe Narcisse. That's his name, and he's actually in the movie.
Oh, is he really? And then he ended up escaping the sugar plantation 16 years after his captors had all themselves died, and he got weaned off of Datura drug by eating salty foods containing bromide, which counteracted the poison.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so this actually happened to someone where he was drugged and forced to be a slave for 16 years.
Well, I've heard it's actually happened to a lot of people. But the thing is, if they're the semblance of being dead, they actually bury these people and then unearth them. So imagine now when you wake up and you realize that you're in this state of appearing to be dead, yet you can't talk to anybody, you can't speak to anybody. And they show how you feel, because Christophe actually told everybody this is what he goes, I heard everything you said. I was trying to tell you that I was alive. They buried him, had a funeral for him, and then these people came and unearthed him and then took him to become a slave. So imagine going through all of that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, and so then our last film that I want to talk about is Dagon. And Dagon is, we were just talking about this. This is a H.P. Lovecraft book, but this is by far one of the creepiest films I have ever seen. I don't even know if it's creepy because the story is creepy or just made there's some cringy moments in it. Um, yep, Angel, you know you're gonna be walking into something when you come onto the Tingling Tea. So definitely we're talking about scary Hispanic horror films that you probably have or have not seen.
And we're talking about monsters in need of braces.
I'm not repeating that.
That is some jacked up teeth, let me tell you.
Definitely. It was several rows of teeth. But I have to tell you, this is for a really, really good film. And let's just go over this film. I watched this film one day. I just came across the film. I was like, what is this film? And it slowly became one of my favorites. It is highly Lovecraftian. That's all I'm going to say. If you all watch Lovecraft Country, you know that he writes about ancient demons and ancient gods. And this is exactly what is in this film. He has a certain type of creep value that is all its own, and you know it's a Lovecraft film or story when you see it. So you got Cthulhu, you have all of those. This is a Dagon is one of the old gods that is prevalent and prominent in this particular movie. Very, very good. Can you give us a little background on this film?
Sure. It was done in 2001. Actually, it's about a boating accident, runs a young man and woman ashore in a decrepit Spanish fishing town, which they discover is in the grips of an ancient sea god and its monstrous half-human offspring. And apparently they dress very exaggeratedly, like this guy too. As you mentioned, it's an H.P. Lovecraft. So Dagon, the word Dagon actually appears in Judeo-Christian Bible and is the name for a half fish, half man deity who is the father of Baal, Baal.
A-L, right.
Right. Dagon was worshipped by the Assyrians in Nineveh, whom the prophet Jonah was sent to preach to. So it is based on the story The Shadow of Innsmouth by H.P. Lovecraft. And the movie, after Lovecraft created this, the movie has been in development for 15 years before it actually was released.
Oh, really? This movie was, oh, wow.
In various states of development.
Right. So what you're seeing is that they're dressed in what I would call to say BC type of clothing and worship clothing that you would probably see in ancient Babylon or such. So this movie though is so creepy, you all, and the effects in this movie, the combination of people who are part fish and part human, that's all I'm going to say. It's worth it to watch.
They have some jacked up teeth, those people.
Yeah. It is such a good film and very well acted. It's, it's almost kind of comedic because when I first saw it, I was like, what is this? The comedy in it, but I think with all Hispanic films, especially when they come out of Spain has a habit of putting comedy in their horror in the most strangest places, but it's good. It's very, very good.
I like some comedy with my horror. It sort of alleviates the tension.
Yeah, but it's like misplaced comedy. You're just like, what the heck just happened there? But very, very, very good movie. I highly recommend this movie. I think that you could see that movie on Amazon Prime. I think that it's on Amazon Prime, so definitely have to take a look at that movie. Well, without further ado, we do have a few minutes to go on. We definitely want to talk about this subject. One of the things that creeps us out highly, and I'm sure it creeps out a lot of other people, and that is haunted dolls. And we have some haunted dolls that have been captured on film. I will provide the links to all of the people who are providing the footage for us tonight for these showings. And because I kind of pulled them up the last minute. So I'll go back and post to make sure that you all have a link, and please go like and subscribe and share their content. So the first one that I wanted to present to this evening for your view, and because you are a skeptic, is a possessed Barbie doll. Okay.
Barbie doll.
Yeah. So this young lady, she received some new dolls, and they actually were filming. They were filming her with the dolls. They had maybe the baby cam on her or something like that, and this happened with the doll while she was playing with the doll. So before I even go into this, what is your take on haunted dolls and possibly possessed dolls?
It's good. It's good footage, but I'm a highly skeptical.
Okay.
I mean, it makes for a good story, but the idea of a doll or something inanimate being possessed, and actually moving and looking like a human is probably not something that I would buy. I've seen some footage in the past. You've shared with me some footage in the past of dolls that have done this, and I think there's opportunity to debunk some of these things.
Okay, so let me tell you. So let's look at this. This was provided by SHEZAD Status Hub. I'm going to put his information, and let's watch this footage. Let me just pull it up. Hold on one second.
Sure. I hope we're going to look at Annabelle. Is there any footage of Annabelle?
I did not bring anything of Annabelle because there's nothing for Annabelle actually moving. She's basically inanimate right now. There's no capture footage of her. She is at the Warren's house behind a blessed case. So they're not, there's no such footage of her anywhere. But let's go ahead and watch this.
Oi, amiga, tudo bem? Mas tá com uma coluna. Sei lá. Você se mexia. O que aconteceu com você? Fala uma coisa. O rato começou a língua.
Sora, vem comer!
Tá bom!
They're going to put it in slow motion. So I'm going to talk over this while we're watching it. So what happened here is that she's just playing, two dolls talking to each other. How are you doing and everything like that. Typical imagination of a little girl with, talking with her dolls. Her dad tells her to come and eat. And then this doll asks a question. One doll asks the question of the other doll, and the other doll responds by turning its head.
What was the question she asked? Did you know?
Actually, let me play that back and I can tell you what she asked. Let's see.
Oi, amiga, tudo bem?
Are you okay?
Mas tá com uma coluna. Sei lá. Você se mexia. O que aconteceu com você? Fala uma coisa. O rato começou a língua.
Sora, vem comer!
Tá bom!
So my Portuguese is not that great. So at the beginning, she says, how are you doing? I'm doing well. Basically having a general conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the doll turns while she's having the conversation and responds.
It looks like the doll looked at her, not the other doll.
Yeah, because she's the one talking for the other doll.
Wow.
So the doll is responding to her. The doll's not responding to the doll. She's responding to the person that is asking the question.
That's pretty creepy. That's pretty creepy. I think what makes that for me is her response. Like she seems incredibly genuine about being freaked out about what she's seeing.
And the way the doll turns its head, that's not a swivel head doll. That doll's, if you know anything about a Barbie doll, that the head doesn't move until you move the head.
Right. Creepy.
Very, very
some creepy footage.
So would you say
I would say that's real, actually. I would say that's real. Because I didn't see her fingers or anything like that. There was no... I mean, I guess there could have been somewhat, I don't know. With a child like that, it's hard to say that they're making some sort of fake thing, because
Yeah.
the child is just going to react to that, because she's innocence.
Right. Exactly. So let's go on to our next view. This is coming from Top Trends. Top Trends is another one that I follow all the time. And let me just actually highlight this real quick so I can let everybody know who they are.
While you're doing that, who remembers the doll from Poltergeist? I remember my sister being freaked out because of that doll. I was freaked out because of the tree outside the window. But that freaky clown doll from Poltergeist attacking, oh no, that was too much.
If you want to scare somebody, you scare them with the doll, because it has a face. It has a human face, and it's responding. So in this particular one I'm getting ready to show right now, this is Spunk's girlfriend. So this young man buys a haunted doll, off of YouTube or off of whatever, what do you call it?
Amazon,
not even Amazon, maybe Craigslist or something like that. And eBay, and he's telling everybody about the doll. And the doll actually moves, and then he goes into further investigation about the doll. So let's go ahead and look at this.
Spunk's girlfriend. In August 2015, a vlogger on YouTube named Spunk purchased a haunted doll on eBay. It was a challenge to see how long he can handle a haunted doll. A couple months went by with nothing out of the ordinary. During a Google Plus get-together he had, around the 29-second mark in his video, the doll began to move slightly. He did not notice it until someone put it in the comment section.
Circles, and then just click following. That'd be awesome. It'll only take like a few seconds, and that'll get me to 1,000 followers, probably within 5 to 6 days, and then I'll finally have a little check mark by my name, and that would make me really happy.
Over time, the doll began showing up in different places of the house. He downloaded an EVP app to try to talk with the doll. EVP is electronic voice phenomena, a way people can talk to spirits through means our ears cannot hear. He asked the doll if she was a ghost. The doll responded by saying not ghost, then went on to say free me. The voice on the EVP sounds like an Asian accent to me.
The ghost, yes. It's evil.
He sold the doll on eBay later on down the line after having not wanted the negative energy anymore. He said the doll said bye in another EVP, which I cannot find. Number 2, the Nutcracker toy. The video...
Okay. So what do you think about that?
No. I can't take that because, first of all, his name is Spunk.
But that's his YouTube name.
I can't believe somebody. So then he's having a conversation when this thing is happening in the background about how to get more likes on his social media.
Okay. but you're making a point there.
I mean, how do you do that? The third thing is you can't see like behind his bed was like in the middle of the room. There was the ability to, it wasn't up against a wall. It wasn't, someone could have easily done that. And like all its hand just moved like that, right? It would have been, people would have been able to make that move by themselves. And the EVP thing, I did not see enough information. He could have just recorded that himself.
That's true. He could have. And the commentator did say that it sounded like somebody was speaking with an accent. So,
I mean, maybe so you have an Asian person speaking English, you have it with an Asian accent? What?
I don't even know if that was an Asian accent. The point is that this doll said that it said free me. And I think that could have definitely been, I have to agree with you on this one. And, I don't like to agree on you because I like to believe that it is. But I have to agree with you on this one. He's looking for more likes. The doll is moving, all this other kind of stuff. And he resold the doll afterwards because he said that the negative energy in his house, he couldn't deal with it. So this is one that I think is very, very, very interesting. In fact, I absolutely love this one. Actually, this is the one. This is one I love, but then there's another one that I love this right after that I definitely have to show
two
you.
more. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do two more. So let's do this one. This was a television show in the UK about a woman who was talking about a doll that they had purchased, and a doll that they had gotten from an auction, that the doll was abusing her husband. And so they had the lady on a television show, and this is what happened. The television show is called This Morning.
Do you seriously think this doll is possessed, do you?
I wouldn't necessarily say possessed, but there is, it has got something. It's definitely got something.
You almost look like, Deb, you don't want to even look at the doll.
No, I don't.
Are you a bit scared?
I don't even want to touch it.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about the doll. Do you collect dolls? Where did you get the doll from?
Actually, I hate dolls.
Oh.
Which is
And why
really...
did you buy it?
As an
Do
investor.
you know what? I bought
Did the doll call to you and say,
We walked
buy
past
me?
the shop. It wasn't actually a charity shop. It was like one of these second-hand shops.
Antique.
Yeah.
Shop, yeah.
And
E&J
we walked
Emporium.
past and we just, I think it was you, wasn't it? And you saw them and
I just thought
said,
they
let's
looked.
just go and have a look. And for
And-
some reason, I said, let's buy them. And we
So
bought,
you say
actually, we
then,
bought
there's more
three.
than one. Okay.
We bought three. They were £5 each. And we thought, we'll buy them because they look like they're worth more than £5 each. You know, hands up, I bought them to
Look,
resell.
that chair's beginning
Chair's
to rock.
rocking.
Look at that.
Who's doing that? Stop it. Who's doing that?
Mm.
Yeah. Actually,
But you separated these dolls, you brought them home, and immediately you
No.
could feel that this one, has this one got a
No.
name?
That's not it at all.
Yeah.
No, I put them in the spare room, and then we had friends coming to stay for the weekend, so I thought I better put them up. I put two in our room, one under the bed, one on top of the wardrobe, and one of them in the drawer. But the day before our friends came is the day he woke up with scratches on him.
Right, so I'm intrigued by these scratches, Cameron. So tell me what happened. You woke up in the morning.
well, I literally woke up in the morning. I had my shower as normal, and then I felt a burning sensation on my leg. And I looked down, and there was a lot of scratches all over my knee. There must have been a dozen or 15 or so, but they looked like cat scratches. So
Well, you could have just scratched yourself in the night, couldn't you? People do that.
I've got my
He cuts
nails.
his nails to the skin.
Okay.
No,
Do you have a cat?
No,
Could
No.
you have scratched him?
no, that's
no,
what I said.
no.
but-
This is the thing. Where the scratches were, and we've got like a big, like extra king size bed because we need a lot of room, basically.
Well, you don't have to explain why you have a cat. Just
Not Love Island.
assume
Not
you
Love
do.
Island,
The thing
Debbie.
is,
But-
I have scratched him with my nails on his neck. the
Okay,
night
too
before,
much
and
detail.
it wakes him
But-
up.
The thing is,
didn't wake
this
up, this is the
incident was
thing.
not isolated. Other things happened.
Yeah.
And all to the point where you ended up putting Her Highness out in the garden shed, and you locked her up in a box in the garden shed. And then when you went to revisit the box in the garden shed, tell us what you saw.
That necklace that's on her was right round her neck. It was really tight, about 5 or 6 times.
And that little pearl, the little
That
pearls,
little pearl
yeah.
necklace. And when I went to the shed, it was practically hanging off. She was in a plastic box with a lid, with 2 other boxes on top. No one had been in the shed all weekend.
Couldn't it have just been loose, the clasp, and just fallen off?
Never mind
It's
what it
not-
could have been. The
it's-
fact is, all these things were happening.
There's no clasp.
And
It's
is
just like
this
big.
frightening you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Right, a little bit. Now, even last night, you were on neutral ground. You were in a hotel prior to this program, and you had an experience, a happening. What happened last night?
2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and heard like a swishing noise going around my side of the bed.
So what, like the dress?
What do you think was swishing?
Yeah, I don't know.
So you put the dog up for sale on
Doll.
the doll. Sorry, it was my throat glove. The doll.
said the dog.
The reason Ruth's laughing is
We
such
did,
as
yeah.
Ruth believes in these things and she pretends she doesn't.
You say that all the time.
It's absolutely true.
I'm scared.
Victoria Claire Fletcher says, I'm a believer, but I think it's strange how pretty much all these reported encounters with spirits are Victorian or thereabouts. Gaynor Green says, my nana has a collection of dolls in her dining room. They're so creepy. They look as if they're just waiting to pounce. Now, you put this up for sale, right? And you put it on the web, right? And you were quite upfront because you didn't want anybody buying this unless they knew this was possessed, as you
Yeah.
believe
I didn't
possessed.
list it as a haunted doll. I listed it as a creepy doll. And I didn't at any point say it was haunted. I just said what it was, and I didn't want it in my house anymore.
And so you bought it for £5?
Yeah.
How much is she on at the moment?
She's been bought and paid for £866.
Wow.
So the interesting thing about this doll is that they sold this doll, and it sold it rapidly because people have, you know, a fascination for these type of dolls.
Mm-hmm.
But that was when I first saw it, I thought that it was a gimmick when I first saw this one. But then what really kind of convinced me was the reaction of the news person and the lady who was talking about the doll. She would not touch the doll. Yeah. She was like, you know, that necklace, you know, you could tell that she was scared of it.
There's definitely a genuine reaction from the owners of the doll. I mean, they don't seem like they're pulling on a scam. They don't seem like they wanted this. They don't seem like, you know, they just seem like normal people who are trying to get on with their lives. And all of a sudden, all these crazy things started to happen. So there was definitely that. I don't think that the rocking chair thing, I think that was a gimmick that they did for the TV show, the rocking chair thing. Because they didn't really react that much. They, you know, and it just happened to happen twice. And nobody, like, if that chair started to rock like that with that doll, I would have been out. You know what I mean?
But you're not British, which they're very reserved.
No. So, you know, I definitely believe that that couple experienced something with that doll.
All right.
I don't know how to believe the scratches or anything like it. Like,
yeah, I have to believe that was there was some truth behind that.
Yeah, it's always also when people talk about, you know, I just woke up. There's this state between dream and awake that you know, people can perceive a dream as being reality as well.
Yeah. So let me share this one. This is the one I told you about that is one of my favorites.
Good. Give me a good scary one.
Yeah, now this particular one is very interesting. I don't know how to describe this one, so let's go ahead and see if I can pull this one. Let's see if this is the right video. Nope, that's not the right video. Let's take this out.
I think Nutcrackers are just creepy.
Yeah, that is a good one, but I didn't bring it in as one of my top ones because I didn't think that didn't actually affect me like this one. But where is it? Okay, let's just see.
I don't know. I'm not a doll person, nor a stuffed animal person. Although I did buy a stuffed animal for my dog.
Oh, God.
And he loves to chew it up.
Well, that's different. Okay, here it is.
Oh, no, this is already creepy.
Okay, let's watch it. do you think about that?
I don't think there's nothing real about that.
Okay, so let me tell you about that doll.
Yeah.
The eyes do follow you wherever you go.
Mhm.
But that doll was found in a graveyard in Brazil. It's a vampire doll, and next to it is a bottle of blood. Somebody put that there as a piece of art. And so the creep value is that the doll stares at you wherever you go. That doll is looking at you. So
that is total creep. Total creep value.
The doll is not haunted because it's an art piece. I don't even know why anybody would put an art piece like that up in Brazil on somebody's grave. But the doll is a fascination that people are having, and the doll does actually exist. Just creepy.
I give it a creepy thumbs up for creep value.
Definitely for creep value. It is that.
Yeah.
It is that. Do we have time for one more?
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay, so let's do one more.
Nutcracker.
Oh, I know you want to watch the Nutcracker one, but...
No, we'll do it later.
We'll do that one some other time. We'll do a haunted Nutcracker episode. All right, let me show you this one. This will be our last one. All right.
By the way, the original Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yes, absolutely. And people think it was the doll that they have in films, which they sensationalize for the movie, but there was nothing ugly about that doll. Nobody would take that ugly doll. But, for the movie, for the benefit of the movie, they decided to do that. So this one where we're getting ready to watch right now, this is Unexplained Mysteries, one of my other favorite YouTube channels that I like to watch. This is similar to what we watched before, but it's different in a way. So let's look at this. Just put this on it. Put this up and
Is that a girl or a woman?
That's a girl. She's a teenage girl. I would say maybe she's in her early 20s. She's somebody that likes dolls, and they gave her a doll for her birthday.
Oh.
Okay, so let's watch this.
Number 1. Doll comes to life. This girl can be seen holding a large doll. The video soon turns nightmarish when the doll appears to turn its head on its own. So that was 5 haunted dolls caught on tape. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for...
That was pretty good. I like that. I like the reaction of the girl. It genuinely seems, filled with horror.
Yeah. So the doll basically just turned and looked at her. Now I'd be after who decided to give me that doll. That's what I would be after.
Good point.
Who gave me this doll?
I'd be like, doll, meet the garbage.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly, I don't believe in a doll or being possessed by an entity. I believe that there's always an entity manipulating the doll. So this is what I believe. I don't believe that it actually inhabits the doll. It may have a fascination to the doll. It may move its hands and legs because we can't see into that realm.
Yeah.
But it's actually, it's the puppet master. The entity is the puppet master for the doll, essentially.
Well, it's totally creepy. And if its goal was to scare the person holding the doll, then it succeeded.
Yep, it did. So that is our footage that we have for haunted dolls. There's plenty of other footage out there. We're definitely going to watch that footage and probably bring that to you all to look at. But yeah, haunted dolls are a fascination of mine, and just learning a little bit about it. There is one story that I would recommend that you all go watch, and I think it's a haunting episode about Norman the doll. You all should definitely check out that particular episode. Norman the doll. And I don't have real footage. I might have some footage of Norman, but we are going over time.
We'll catch up we'll get some footage of Norman for another.
Yeah,
episode.
we'll show Norman of everything. But I highly recommend that episode about a doll that once again was bought at an antique store, and what happened with this doll when these people brought this doll home.
I think the lesson is don't buy your freaking dolls at antique stores. What are you doing?
Well, here's the thing: the dolls that were created back in the day that are made out of China and all of the things that they used to make these dolls out of, they're gorgeous dolls. The clothing, everything, very well done to detailed. And as a kid, and even now, I have a doll that's an antique doll. It's a China doll somewhere packed away in all of my things that I used to bring out for Christmas. So they're gorgeous things. And if you're an antiquer, you appreciate the beauty of these items. But think about it. Anytime you bring anything that belonged to somebody else into your house, this old antique, it's been around for a long time, there is the possibility of something being attached to it. And it is what it is. So, buyer beware.
Definitely. I won't be buying any China dolls anytime soon. I'm excited.
So with that said, we will be back next week, you all. Thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us this evening. I will post these particular YouTube channels that we showed tonight on our
YouTube,
our post, yes, our YouTube. And please go like and subscribe and share their content. They have some very unique content. Some of my favorite rabbit hole YouTube videos that I like to go down. We will be back next week. Same time, 8 o'clock Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. There is a possibility, you all, that we may be moving to Tuesday nights. So if you are our fans out there, let us know if Tuesday night would be better for the Tingling Tea. We want to make sure that it's a tea in a Tuesday or a Thursday or whatever. So, Tuesday night, something that has a ring to it. But let us know if you would like to see us on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, if that would be a better time schedule for you. We get very busy during the week. And so with things going on, the fall coming up and the holidays and everything, a Thursday night might be a little bit difficult for us. And I'm actually starting back to some martial arts classes. So there's some things that, yeah.
We're doing an episode based on watching Les do martial arts.
So you don't
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Watch for it, people. It is coming.
Give me some time to get back in shape, and then I can do all the martial arts stuff you want me to do. But yes, I want to go back to my classes, my dance classes, and all that other kind of stuff. That I've neglected since COVID. So definitely want to get back into all of those things. With that being said, see you next Thursday night, 8 o'clock. We have guests with us next week. We're really excited to have them. And look out for any of the posters that we're going to put out for next week's show. Have a good night, everybody. See you here next week. Same time, same back channel. Take care.